Money is just a piece of paper, a number on a screen. Its value is only backed up by our belief in its value. From the very start, this was never about the money. It was always about what your money can do for you. The reason for being here with me today has nothing to do with money. It had to do with a feeling, a sensation, the ability to do anything you want, when you want it, without ever having to worry about, can I afford this? Have I used up all my vacation time for the year? Will I be able to afford my bills? What dreams will I have to sacrifice because I can't afford to pursue them? If freedom is what you're looking for, this tool is your answer. The most important lesson of this video was never about the nature of money. It was about the most valuable resource we have, the one that we can never get more of, and that is time. Is giving up your time working for money at a job that you don't enjoy worth it? Are you satisfied with the status quo? Working long hours, coming home, watching the television, eating, sleeping, then waking up the next day only to repeat the same cycle, counting the days until the weekend or until retirement, if you can even afford retirement. How many more hours of your life are you willing to let slip through your fingers, following the pattern you have been led to believe is your only option? Perhaps you're fine with your reality. Perhaps you have no other choice but to follow that path for the time being. If that's the case, at the very least, you've been graced with a welcome change in perspective. But there are those of you that understand the other side, those of you that have the desire to never need to worry about money ever again. And so I feel the need to remind you, stop thinking wealth is all about your ability to work harder for money. Start learning how to make your money work harder for you. Start taking back the money that you're giving away to everybody else. Today is the day everything changes for you. Today is the day you become the bank. The amount of information I hope to share with you far exceeds the amount of time this video allows. I've only managed to show you the tip of the iceberg. This is just the beginning. There's so much left for me to teach you about money. The amount of misinformation around money and the complete lack of knowledge of how money really works astounds me every day, and it's what drives me on my mission to deliver the truth to anyone who will hear it. If that is you, if this is just the beginning and you're starving for more, if you've come to realize there's a lot you don't know but you'd like to, I strongly recommend read the book, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. This book will teach you how to use this concept, this system, this tool to get back all the money for every purchase you've ever made, your mortgage, your car, your vacations, college tuition. This book will also show you how to pay off your debts and recycle and recapture all the money you are giving away to everybody else. And the best part is, you don't have to work any harder. You don't have to work any longer. You don't have to give up control of your money, and you don't have to take on any risks to do this. The reality is that most people will not succeed, which is exactly why statistics by the Social Security Administration show that only 5 out of 100 people will be financially secure by the age of retirement. My hope is that you are one of the 5 that want to change. If you're serious about leveling up, about ending your struggles, and about taking the one simple step that will change your entire life, hit subscribe so you can stay in the know and be in control. Thanks for watching till the end.
There is a nationwide scramble to get more doses of the
COVID-19 has battered the global economy, causing the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s.
Today, I'm signing an executive order that directs the whole of government
All right, there it is. I love opening with that video because that video reminds me of Steve Jobs when he did the 1984 video, which was one of the most iconic, most memorable, and one of the most impactful videos of all time. Folks, welcome, welcome, welcome to another Money School training. This is one of 4 previews that we're doing. And, I couldn't be happier that you're all here sharing your time with us because there's nothing more valuable than your time. And I promise you, we're going to be respectful of your time. We've got an action-packed training for you, and we're going to kick it off here just in a second. But let's get some housekeeping out of the way. So we've got a bunch of you on right now and a lot more coming. Here's what I want everybody to do. I want everybody to look right below. Right below, you're going to have like a chat thing. So all the questions that you're going to have today, if you could chat them in, or if it's kind of a question you don't want everybody to see, just put it in the Q&A. We will address every single one of them. But when you share in the chat, very important, make sure it says all panelists and attendees. That's critical. And again, thank you all for being here. Stephen, let's kick this thing right off. Let's jump right in.
Yeah, man, I'm fired up. It's Tuesday. Like I said, I took some time over the 3 days and kind of spent some time in the sun and the salt, which is my absolute favorite thing in the world to do. So I'm pumped up and ready to go. It's going to be an awesome week. We have this training tonight, which I can't wait to get into. It's one of my favorite subjects when it comes to taking back control of your money, what we call the $1 trillion source. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a little bit about what we got going on this weekend. And we are going to start getting into, I think, money multiplier.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. How many
everything tonight is related to, as you read on the hat, being your own banker. So those are words to live by. And that's what tonight is going to be all about, as well as really the rest of the week. We got trainings tomorrow. We got a training Thursday evening. And then boom, we're hopping into the weekend to our flagship event training that we do over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I can't wait for this week. I'm super excited. The feedback we've gotten from the last several events we've done has just been unbelievable. So we've taken all of that, we've internalized it, we've made it even better. So I can't wait to see what we put on this week. It's going to be awesome.
I agree. And how many of you have ever wanted more money for just about anything? Well, that's good because we're going to show you tonight. We're going to show you how to generate more money for your lifestyle, more money for your retirement. We're going to show you how to generate more money for your real estate deals you want. We're even going to show you how to create a legacy while still doing those other things and generating money. A lot of people they kind of separate legacy from daily living. And we're going to show you how you can have your cake and eat it too. And these strategies that we're going to go over tonight, we're going to hit 2 main strategies, all focused around being your own bank. How many of you right now, just write down in the chat, I want to make sure that every one of you are really engaging in this. So I want to do a little thing. How many of you right now are being your own bank? Just put in I in the chat right now. Let's see how many of you are already your own bank. Let's see it. So just type in I, and if you're not your own bank, we'll get a question for you in a second. There we go. Deborah is. Who else? Okay, we got Eve. She's trying. She's a newbie, but we'll teach you, Eve. Don't you worry about that. Who else? Who else is being your own bank? BYOB, and it doesn't stand for bring your own booze. Okay, Kimberly is. So who else? Who else we got? All right. Well, for those of you that are not, the good news is after tonight, you're going to know how. And what does being your own bank mean? A lot of people think, oh, I got to have lots of money to be my own bank. Because, you go to a traditional bank every day, right? And that's what you do. You deposit your money, you give up control of your money to the bank. And what does the bank do? The bank moves your money. And we're going to cover a lot of this, but I just want you to understand that what we're going to cover is very simple. You don't need an advanced degree in finance to understand this. And the other thing too, before we get into that, based on the number of people, there's an interesting statistic. If we took all the people on here, okay, and I took just 5% of them, that 5%, okay, which would be roughly about 5 people, those 5 would be the only ones that are financially secure at the age of retirement. Can you believe that? How many of you think that that's a problem here in this country called the United States of America, the greatest country on earth, the land of opportunity? How many of you see a problem that only 5 out of 100 people are going to be financially secure? Well, there is a problem. It means a lot of 65, 75, and 85-year-olds are working into the retirement, not because they want to, because they have to. Before you guys start worrying about your future, I got some good news. It's not you. all of you on this training right now are the 5%ers, and none of you are going to have to worry about that, because that's the other 95% that aren't on here. That's all the people that registered for this event that don't show up. They're the 95%ers, the ones that always say they want more, say they want to generate more money, they want to do this, they want to do that, but they fail to invest their time to learn what you're going to learn tonight. And what you're going to learn tonight is going to kick off right now with Stephen talking to you about one of my favorite things, the $1 trillion source. So Stephen, let's dive right into the $1 trillion source, and let's teach these folks how they can all be their own bank. You guys excited about that? Type yes if you're excited about learning how the $1 trillion source can work for you. There we go. Claire's on. We got, and I don't want to pronounce the name, last name Roth. So if you could tell me how to pronounce your first name, I just don't want to get it wrong. Shelly is, we got Pamela, we got Leroy on. Hey, what's up, Leroy? We got Eve. She said, of course. She's like, duh, I'm not going to put yes, of course. Fantastic.
Chris, we're good?
Yep. Monoram. Did I get that right? Monoram? Or Mo? Okay. All right. Monoram. There we go. Woohoo. Let's do it, Stephen. All you.
All right. Awesome. Here we go. So real quickly, guys, just so you know, I'm Stephen Nagy. If you missed the first two previews that we've done, or you haven't been following us, I've been working with Chris for several years now when it comes to financial education and everything we do with becoming your own bank. Before I started working directly with Chris and the Money School and Money Multiplier and becoming your own bank, I was real deep into what we call the $1 trillion source, which we'll get into in just a moment. Before that, I had spent over a decade as a real estate investor in real estate, not only running my own businesses, buying real estate, doing everything from wholesaling to flips to learning about multifamily to purchasing and owning rental properties, long-term holds. I've done seller financing. I've done all types of different real estate over the years, depending on what the market is, which we can get into. But prior to real estate and my experience with that and getting out and traveling and teaching it around the country, I've done a lot of stage speaking, spoken 47 states on hundreds of stages to thousands of students all across the country, as well as Mexico and Canada. And prior to that, out of college, I was a financial advisor. So I worked for Ameriprise Financial for a little over 2 years. And that is what really launched my journey into learning more about financial education and taking control, and just realizing as a financial advisor that 95% of people never achieve their financial goals. They never are able to retire the way that they want to. They're never able to live the lifestyle that they want to. So I said to myself, there's got to be a better way. What we're helping people with as a financial advisor doesn't work for the masses. It works for a small percentage of people, but for most people, life gets in the way. Families get in the way, job changes get in the way, economies get in the way, markets get in the way, and just overall lack of financial education. Things like we're teaching you tonight, this week, and this weekend are just not taught in traditional education. They're not taught in high school. They're not taught in college. This is stuff you're not going to hear anywhere else. You have to go out there and seek it. You have to learn it by reading it in books, listening to podcasts, watching webinars, learning from people like us that devote our lives to this kind of education and being able to spread it with you. So just wanted to get that out of the way, Chris. Like, this is something we've been doing now for 12, 13, 14 years. So we're sharing a lot of experience. Chris, you've been doing this for longer than I think a lot of people probably know your story, right?
Yeah, and I think they do, financial advisor for 16 years, self-employed since 16, ex-pro snowboarder, flipped a lot of houses. Me and my wife, we did 267 houses, which got us a show on HGTV, or a pilot on HGTV, I should say. Ran 6 times, and then we didn't get the show, learned, kind of had to take a step back and figure out what we were going to do. And we then decided our strength was in money. And then I started teaching the secrets of what the wealthy do with money, because that's what I failed in terms of all the times that I failed. I failed so many times in my life. Every time was because of lack of knowledge of what the wealthy do. And I just did what everybody told me. I did what I was trained to do as an advisor, just like you, Stephen. And the other thing too, that I think is very worthy of mentioning here, this stuff that we're going to talk about, whether it's the $1 trillion source or the private banking systems, they don't teach you this, okay? When I was an advisor, never once, not one time in 16 years was I taught the $1 trillion source about what we're going to talk about tonight. Never once was I ever taught what privatized banking was or the infinite banking concept. So why is it that I wasn't taught these things? Simple. As an advisor, the brokerages we work for, Stephen and I, couldn't make any money by having us teach or do what we're doing here tonight. So that should be an important lesson for all of you. How many of you have worked with an advisor and how many of you work with an advisor now or work with a bank broker, okay, that has never ever taught you about self-directed IRAs or privatized banking? Say aye. I bet you any money, every person on here would say aye. I bet you every one of them. And it's the truth. You know, like it's sad, but it is.
Yep. And it's amazing because we have, I mean, how many clients and members do we have, Chris, that come to us after they learn what we teach them and they go to their advisors and they ask them questions and they say, you know, hey, what is the deal with this? Like, why don't you tell me about it? And guess what the advisor says? I know nothing about that, actually. Like, I'm not holding it back. I don't understand it. And it's like you just said, because they're taught to sell and do what makes their company and their brokerage and their firm money. And it's not this, right? So it's very common.
Absolutely common.
And with that said, let's dive right in. So
because they need to know this. This is important stuff.
Absolutely. The $1 trillion source. This is one of my favorite topics. And one of the reasons why I absolutely love this is A, it works for everybody. And what I mean by that is it works for everybody that wants to take back control, that knows that they can have more in life, that they can do more in life, that they can be more in life if they just had the right opportunity, if they had the right education, if they knew the action items to go out there and follow step by step exactly what to do. And this will allow you to do it. But why I say it's for everybody is the $1 trillion source. This is a strategy and a vehicle that you can learn about and you can implement if you have millions of dollars. You can implement this strategy if you're very, very wealthy. You can implement this strategy if you're dead broke, if you have no money, if you're just starting out. You can implement this strategy if you're approaching retirement age or in retirement, or maybe you're 20 years old, 30 years old, and you're completely fresh and you've never had a retirement before. And you can go out there and you can start this and become successful from it and use these strategies that we're going to teach you. Whether you have money or whether you don't have money, pay very, very, very close attention to the next 20, 30 minutes here, because we're going to get into what we call the $1 trillion source, which is the self-directed IRA. This is the new standard. So I'm just curious, before I dig deep into this, it might be easier to ask this. Who doesn't know what self-directed retirement investing is? Who does not know what a self-directed IRA is? Just put I, like if maybe you've heard about it before, but you don't actually know how it works or what it is. Is there anybody that's just completely brand new?
Anaram said.
Just put I on there.
Kimberly said I. Shelley said I.
Okay, so we have a few people that we need to dig into this, Chris. So this is really just learned with you folks recently. Yeah.
Before you do that, Stephen, I just want to make sure that every one of them that said I, first off, it's not your fault. Okay. You weren't taught this because nobody ever had anything to earn by teaching you this. So I just want you to know that it's not because of anything you failed to do. It's not because of anything you failed to learn. It's simply they don't teach this, which is why what he's going to show you, only 4% of all IRAs out there, and I don't even know how many IRAs there are, probably billions, at least tens or hundreds of millions, only 4% of them are self-directed. So if that right there tells you anything, well, stay tuned because you're going to learn a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's this that's actually a couple of years old, so it's over 80 million now, but there's over 80 million IRAs in this country with trillions of dollars within these retirement accounts, and less than 4% of those are self-directed. So it's surprising in the fact that just people are never taught this stuff, but it's not surprising when you look at data and numbers, because if you go back to what Chris said earlier, less than 5% of people in the United States of America, less than 5% of people are going to be able to retire at the age and the lifestyle that they want to retire at without having to go work harder, or without having to go work longer, or without having to drastically change their lifestyles now to be able to budget for that down the road. Less than 5% of people in the wealthiest country in the history of the earth. Right? So why is that? Why is it that you always hear about the 1%, or you hear about, hey, 5% of people own 95% of wealth, and all the stuff that you always hear? Why is that? And it all boils down to financial education, because every single one of us, like Chris, me, you, every one of us that's out there, I shouldn't say every one of us, but the majority of people that I know and I associate with and that I partner with and that I network with and know across the country come from very similar situations to you and I, Chris, where we didn't come from money. Like we didn't, I went to college for a few years and I paid for it all on my own. Like this is stuff that like we were never given to us. Like we're no different from anybody else. We just realized at a younger age, hey, there's something more out there. And if I just go study what other successful people are doing, if I say, hey, instead of learning from, this financial advisor that makes 60 grand a year talking about mutual funds, if I go and study what is Robert Kiyosaki doing, what's Tony Robbins doing, what's Donald Trump doing before he was president? The guy, real estate investor, like what are people like that doing? And studying that kind of thing. What do the Rockefellers do? How do you create this legacy generational wealth? If I study that, hey, maybe I'll be a little bit better off in life, right? And that's exactly what I did. Chris, I know that's exactly what you did as well. And that's exactly what all of our students and members do to be able to create success and put themselves on a better path. And hopefully we have time. I'll pull up a couple testimonials from our students that just say, hey, like we were literally stuck. Like we thought we were never going to retire. We thought that our life was like we didn't know what to do financially. Like we were in big trouble. And within a year, within 2 years, within 6 months, like our path now financially is we would have never dreamed that it would be possible. And we hear this over and over again. This stuff is not hard. It's not rocket science. It's just something that's a little bit different. So I love that slide right there. And I love just, pointing it out, but it all goes along with the data and that's what it shows. Right, Chris?
Absolutely. Hey, everybody, real quick, how many of you are 5 to 10 years away from retirement? If you're close to retirement, put yes into the chat. I want to know how many of you are 5 to 10 years, because I'll tell you what. So there we go. We got Shelly, she's 5 to 10. We got Mark's 5 to 10. Pamela's 5 to 10 years from retirement. And I'm sure there's going to be more, but here's the thing. And this is so important. So please, everybody, pay attention to this. The next 5 to 10 years are going to either make or break you. The market has been rallying. The market's been on a steady incline, or right now, since COVID, a steep incline up. It's called a bull market. But what is happening right now will not continue. If you saw the first day, the first training, we went over this, and we're going to cover more of this in the 3-day training in detail. But you have to be so unbelievably careful right now, because if all of you are retiring, that just said that, Kim and Gotham and all the other people that said they're retiring 5 to 10 years, here's the problem. In the next couple of years, I can't tell you when, because I can't time the market, but 1 year, 2 year, no longer than 3 years, you're going to have a major correction in the markets. How big? Some are saying, a lot of the economists are saying it's going to rival 1929. It's going to be a mix of 1929 and the dot-com crash of the 2000s. So if you mix those two, put them in the blender, and then mix in a little 2008, that's about what's coming. And if you're not ready for that, and you ride the roller coaster down, doing what everybody tells you to do, FOMO, fear of missing out, or the euphoria that's going on. Everybody thinks they're missing out on something right now. But if you get caught in this downward spiral, you're not going to retire in 5 to 10 years. And that's what me and Steven are here to teach you tonight. How not to get caught in that spiral. How not to get mixed up in the FOMO, the fear of missing out, the euphoria of thinking you got to jump in the market because you're missing out on something if you don't. That same exact thing. Study history, folks. I study way too much. Study history and look at 1926 to 1929. Everybody in 1926 to 29 was stuck in that same euphoria, that FOMO. They all thought the market was going to keep going up, and then all of a sudden it didn't. And those people weren't retiring in the next 5 to 10 years after that. Well, here's the news. It's not something you have to do. It's not something you have to go along with. It's not something you have to participate in. And what do I mean? You don't have to ride the roller coaster down. You don't have to go down with the market. What we're going to teach you right here and right now tonight, and in depth, we're going to show you the how-to this weekend in the 3-day event. We're going to show you how not to ride the roller coaster, but how to benefit from what's coming, how to see it as an opportunity, not an obstacle. So Stephen, get into self-directing, because this is honestly one of the major answers to how you're not going to ride the roller coaster down, is simply you being in control of those retirement dollars that you have today.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, like you said, Chris, we talk a lot about the markets, and we've had 2 previews previous to this. So if you haven't seen those yet, make sure you watch those, because there's a lot of good information in there as well. Stuff that you're not going to want to miss. And you're absolutely right. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what this is all about, is opening your eyes to alternatives, opening your eyes to new ideas and strategies that are proven to work. It's just a matter of going out there and doing them. So what does self-directed mean? Self-directed is plain and simple. It means you, not your financial advisor, are in charge of your investment portfolio. You decide what types of investments to make. You decide where your money is going to go to grow. Everything else when it comes to a self-directed IRA is exactly the same as a quote unquote non-self-directed IRA. So what I mean by that is an IRA at Fidelity, at Morgan Stanley, at Merrill Lynch, at any of these brokerage houses, at, I don't know, Robinhood, at Charles Schwab, you know, any of these brokerage houses, these are just retirement accounts. Retirement accounts are retirement accounts. According to the IRS, a retirement account is a retirement account, meaning the same rules and laws apply to a retirement account at Fidelity as it does at, for example, Horizon Trust, which is a self-directed custodian, okay, which is the exact same thing. So what is a self-directed IRA? Well, you can have, okay. So you can have, so self-directed, like I said, it's a descriptive, not a legal term, because they're all the same. So you can have self-directed traditional IRA, and we'll talk about the differences in these briefly. Okay. You can have a self-directed Roth IRA. You can have a self-directed 401k or solo K. You can have self-directed health savings accounts, SEPs, simples, any type of retirement account that you've heard of can be self-directed. The only difference is, do you control the money, or does your financial advisor control the money through mutual funds and lifestyle funds and that kind of thing? So let's get into it. Which type of IRA is right for you? So you have to ask yourself the question, do you want tax-free income for the rest of your life, or do you want a tax deduction today? Do you want to pay taxes on the seed or the crop? Or do you want to have your cake and eat it too? So let me explain what I mean by that, okay? So a traditional IRA, and again, it can be a traditional 401k, a traditional HSA, SEP, simple, it doesn't matter. We're just going with traditional. What that means is the money that's going into that retirement account is going in pre-tax dollars. So your employer pays you, but before any taxes come out, anything like that, the money goes straight into the retirement account. Okay. Once the money's inside of there, the money is going to grow tax deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes on it yearly. It grows tax deferred. Once you hit 59 and a half years old, which is retirement age, according to the IRS for retirement accounts, you can start to pull that money out without paying a penalty. If you pull that money out before you're 59 and a half years old, you're going to pay a 10% penalty plus taxes for pulling that money out. So basically, you're giving up control of your money, okay, in a retirement account in general, especially with the traditional. Now, they have advantages, you know, possibly by getting that money in there, pre-tax dollars, it can lower your taxable income for the year, dropping you to a lower tax bracket. So there can be some advantages to it, but I just want to talk about the way that they work, okay? So it goes in pre-tax, goes tax deferred, you pay taxes later on. The traditional way of thinking about financial retirement, okay? This is what your financial advisor is going to tell you. You're in your earning years right now, meaning your income is going to be at the highest it's going to be in your lifetime while you're earning income at your job, okay? So what that means is, let's go ahead and get that money and not pay taxes on it now. Let's get in that retirement account. And then later on in life, when you retire, you're not going to have as much earned income, so you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. So later on in life, when you pay taxes on that money, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket, so you're going to pay less money in taxes, right? But what is one of the challenges that can come from that? Let me ask this question. What is going on with taxes every single year in our lives? What do? Do they go up or do they go down? Right in the comment box. Do taxes typically go up year over year or do they go down? And what do you think is going to be happening in the coming years? Are taxes going to go up or are taxes going to go down? What do you guys think? Up, 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 up. Okay. So we're all in agreement. Taxes are going up, right? So why would you put money into an account right now that's going to defer paying taxes until later on when taxes are where? Up. Okay. Again, there's uses for traditional retirement accounts, but the way that things are going right now, I don't see a whole lot of uses for them. All right. 401ks can be useful at work. Again, they're giving up control, but sometimes you get the match. All right. We're not going to get into it. All right. So here's the other type of retirement account. That's a traditional. The other type is what's called a Roth retirement account. So a Roth retirement account, money goes in after taxes are paid. So I get paid, my paycheck, the taxes come out, whatever the case might be. I pay the taxes today. Once the taxes are paid, I take my money and I put it into a Roth retirement account. So a Roth IRA, a Roth Solo K, a Roth SEP, a Roth Simple, whatever is a Roth account. So I take the money, I put it in there after I pay taxes. Once it's in that Roth account, here's what's awesome. That money now grows within my Roth account completely tax-free, meaning I never will pay a dime of taxes on any of the profit within that account. Now that sounds okay when we're talking about a traditional Roth IRA, meaning a Roth IRA at Fidelity or a Roth IRA at Charles Schwab, because what are you doing? You're investing your money in typically mutual funds or lifestyle funds. Over time, you might get, 8 to 10% returns annually over time. So your money's going to grow tax-free, which is cool. When you pull the money out at retirement age, you're never going to have to pay any taxes on it, no matter what's going on with taxes at that time. So all that profit, you never pay taxes on. So it's a beautiful thing, right? But let me ask this question. What if we could take that money, put it into a Roth account, and then go out there and invest in a business startup? Or what if I could take that money in 2010 and buy a ton of real estate? What has real estate done the last year? I don't know where you guys are, but where I live in South Florida, the real estate market is like nothing we've ever seen before in history. The prices have gone so crazy. The housing market is so hot right now that if you would have bought a home 4 or 5 years ago, you probably would have doubled your money. I mean, maybe not, but the way we buy houses, I know a lot of our investment properties have doubled or tripled in income. Chris, I know you've witnessed that a lot, even where you live up in Buffalo, right?
Listen, like Buffalo is not the place where people just clamor to live. That might be Texas or Florida, used to be California, but Buffalo's real estate in some parts, we're seeing houses go 30% over ask. Literally $240,000 house just went 80,000 over ask. Like that, I'm sorry, but that might happen in your part of the country. That doesn't happen here. Like there's something crazy going on and we all know what it is. Like COVID hit, everybody was like confined for a year. People are moving out away from the cities, bigger houses. There's a lot of reasons, cheap money, low interest rates, and lots and lots of stimulus money.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy though, but I mean, look at this. If you would have went out there and bought a home for $100,000, let's say in 2011, like a foreclosure, when all the foreclosures, we were buying all those foreclosures for pennies on the dollar, which by the way, who thinks that might happen again in the next few years? Anybody? I know you can't raise your hands, but put I in the chat box if you think that there might be some real estate foreclosure opportunities coming up in the next couple of years. I personally believe there's going to be a ton. There's been a lot of people that are on mortgage forbearances. There's a lot of issues right now with this economy, even though we're not really being told that. There's going to be a lot of foreclosures coming. And as soon as the deferrals end, absolutely, Thomas, I'm on the same page with you. So we're prepping right now to get ready for these. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming up again. So just be ready for it. If you missed out on 2010, 2011, 2012, even going into 2015, we were still getting killer deals. It's just been the last couple of years, they started to dry up a little bit. But how many of you want to be ready for that? How many of you want to get into that? Because if I was to go out there with my Roth IRA and buy one of these rental homes at $100,000, that thing goes up to $300,000 and I sell that thing in retirement, that $200,000 that thing grew, I never pay a dime of taxes on any of that money. If I go out there and I invest in a startup company, let's say put $20,000 in a startup that takes off and I make $500,000, can that happen? Absolutely. It happens every day in venture capital.
Yeah, it happened. Hey, let me just hit on that. Mitt Romney, you all know of him, right? Mitt Romney, pretty wealthy guy. Well, when he was running, I believe it was for president, right? I'm almost certain it was. Yep. When he was running for president, he had to disclose his financials and he showed his IRA. Okay. He just had a regular IRA and he showed it and he got scrutinized because of the growth in his IRA. Some of the best Wall Street people, the best in the business came in and said, that's impossible. There's no way your IRA could have grown that much based on the market performance. They spent so much time trying to prove that it was impossible. And he's sitting back just laughing at these people saying, you people don't understand what the wealthy do with money, do you? All of his money was in self-directed IRAs. He invested that money in startup companies, and those startup companies took off. Not all do. I'm not saying invest in startups, but he knew some things and they blew up, and his returns were probably thousands of percent, not hundreds, not 10, not 20, thousands. But had he not been in control of his money and known what the 4% know, that never could have happened, period.
Yep, absolutely. And people were like, how? Because with a Roth IRA, with any IRA, traditional Roth, any IRA, you're limited to like $6,500 a year into the account, into it. So people were always like, well, how did Mitt Romney have a Roth IRA with millions of dollars in it? Well, there's a couple strategies that he followed. First off, I believe, I don't know this 100%, I got to relook it up, but I believe that one of the things he did was take an old 401k, which we're going to talk about. He rolled it, he transferred it into a self-directed, but at the same time, he converted it into a Roth, which gives you and that doesn't work for everybody. It's not the right strategy for everybody, but it's the right strategy for some people. So we can talk about that. So there's a little strategy you can follow, how to take a traditional where you're going to have to pay the deferred tax. Pay the tax on it now. Again, what are taxes doing? They're growing. So pay the tax on it now, but let's get into this Roth. Let's get into this tax-free vehicle, retirement vehicle. And then all that, you could grow that thing $1 million by investing wisely. You never pay a dime of taxes on that $1 million in growth profit. I mean, it's unbelievable what Roth IRAs can do. I love them, Chris. I mean, they're absolutely amazing vehicles if they're used properly, but people get bogged down. I even saw one of the questions like, well, how much can you put into a Roth IRA? Yeah, you're limited to $6,500 a year, but there's other ways to get around that. What if we open up a Roth solo K? How much can you put in a solo K, Chris?
Yeah, 56,000.
Up to, like 60 grand. I mean, depending on the situation.
Now, I mean, it changes every year.
Yeah, I mean, they keep raising it because, so there's so many other strategy ways to do that. But this all boils down to, hey, if you're going to put it in this account and rely on the stock market to go up over time, even though it goes like this, but over time it's going to go up, then fine, go be the 95%. But if you want to take that control, then pay close attention to this strategy, because this is going to allow you to do some really, really amazing things with your retirement and with your wealth creation. Well, so let's roll.
With regular Roths or regular traditionals, most people that have them, they think their only option, if they've got like a Fidelity IRA or maybe a Vanguard IRA, they might only have mutual funds that they can invest in. And anyone that's got mutual funds, really what you need to do is read that entire prospectus. Yes, that giant thing that they mail you. Oh, I'm sorry, they just email them now. If you read that and you understood that, you wouldn't invest in mutual funds anymore. That much I promise, because they're very expensive. And 99% of the people don't read the prospectus. Even if they did read it, they don't understand it. Then maybe you got yourself one of those good brokerage accounts that you can invest in everything, or so they say. You can invest in everything. You can invest in mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, and some other investments in there, but they don't let you invest in everything. Could you take your money in your IRA and invest in real estate? When real estate goes down, like if you had an IRA and in 2009, after the economic crash, the Great Recession, could you have bought houses with your IRA? Most of you are thinking, heck no. How would I do that? I couldn't have used my IRA. Could you have used your IRA to loan money to investors to buy real estate and taken a profit in those deals? So split the profits on the real estate deal when you don't want to do the work? Because who wants to flip a house? I'm sorry. I did 267 flips when me and my wife were really doing the TV show, and I don't want to do them anymore. It's way too much work. So why do the work? Why not just be the bank? and fund the deal, take a split of the profit. Can you do that with your Vanguard IRA? Nope. Can you do that with your Fidelity IRA? How about your Charles Schwab? Oh, I'm sorry. How about your Robinhood IRA? You must be able to do that with your Robinhood IRA. Oh, no. Oh, but Chris, we have one of those self-directed Fidelity accounts. Self-directed for what? And we're going to get into self-directed, what you can and can't do. But really, your self-directed IRA, as they say with Fidelity, isn't self-directed at all. It just allows you to invest in any one of the investments you choose to invest in outside of the basket they provide you. Folks, I'm just trying to tell you what's going on out there. And we got to get our mindset right. And we got to learn what the wealthy know, the Mitt Romneys, the Bidens, the McCains, God, I could keep going on, the Walt Disneys, of the day, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. We got to learn what they knew, because what they knew allowed them to be in control of their money, to have the freedom. And it's not because of some luck or because they were born into a wealthy family. It's because they knew one or two things you don't know. This is one of them.
You're absolutely right, Chris. And this might sound like an infomercial for self-directed retirement accounts, but the crazy thing is we are definitely not selling retirement accounts. We're actually going to give you one of these. So I know, and we can talk about that, but we're definitely not here to sell you retirement accounts. We're here to show you exactly how to use these to create unbelievable wealth for yourself.
Stephen, I'm glad you brought that up. And I know Leroy's on here, and, I just want to be clear, like, the reason you've never heard of self-directed IRAs up to this point, if you're somebody that's just hearing about this the first time, is exactly what Stephen just said. We don't sell self-directed IRAs. We can't get paid a penny on them anyway, because you're in control. We're teaching you things that the advisors, the brokers can't get paid to do. And because they can't get paid, you don't know about them. And I'm not beating up on advisors. I'm not. I'm simply telling you the truth about money. And Stephen's doing the same. So folks, we're not selling self-directed IRAs. If you come to the 3-day event, you get one for free. And that's negotiated with the self-directed custodian so that you all can have access to that without having any cost. That's the incredible part. Can you look at that question from Pamela, Stephen?
Yeah, it's so important that you utilize self-directed retirement accounts, both for yourself and for your business. I mean, Chris, I'll get to Pamela, but look at this next slide right here. I mean, this is what you can do with a self-directed IRA. And this is what we teach, creating wealth multiple ways. And we talked a lot about this on the last preview, but you can buy all types of real estate. You can fund all types of real estate. You can buy tax liens in your retirement account. You can buy gold, silver, precious metals, private business loans. You can, and like I said, startups into private businesses, becoming a bank. You can still, with your self-directed retirement account, invest in stocks. You can still buy options. You can still do everything you can with a traditional brokerage retirement account, except now you have all these other options as well. Intellectual property. I mean, how many of you are investing in Bitcoin? Are there any Bitcoin investors? Type I in the comments if you're investing in Bitcoin. Did you know you can buy Bitcoin in your retirement account? To me, Chris, that makes the most sense when it comes to Bitcoin investing, because Bitcoin is such a crazy volatile investment. I don't know how people sleep at night with active money invested. But if it's money, I'm 38 years old. If it's money that I know that I cannot touch until I'm 60, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy the Bitcoin in there, and I'm going to hope that it becomes adopted and it becomes the world currency and it goes to $1 million a coin. And guess what? I'm never going to pay a dime of taxes on any of that because I got it in my Roth IRA. How many of you like that idea?
How many of you like those apples?
But it's so true though. I mean, that if, and for all, in all transparency, I'm not buying crypto right now, at least not yet again. But when I do, that's exactly how I'm going to do it, just so you know. But this is everything that it allows you to do. And so let me just show you how the flow of this works. All right. So when it comes to buying real estate, and again, this is going to be important whether you're actually buying the real estate or whether you're lending. This is the process that's taken. So you have a current IRA custodian or the financial institution. What you're going to do is you're going to get on the line with the self-directed custodian, and they're going to help you do this. So there's some paperwork you fill out, and you contact your existing brokerage firm, wherever the money is now. And they're going to move the money from that where it is now, Morgan Stanley, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, whatever. They're going to move it over to the self-directed custodian brokerage firm, okay? Now, when that happens, there is no penalty. There's no tax consequences. It's a direct transfer from one brokerage to another brokerage. So there's no tax issues whatsoever that happen. Okay, is everybody clear on that? Once the money's in that account, it's now a funded account. Then what you do is you go out and you find what you're going to purchase. And whether that's a house, whether that's a business, whether that's a note, whatever the case might be, you're going to fill out what's called a direction to invest form. You're going to submit that to the custodian along with all the paperwork for the transaction. And the custodian is going to then wire or transfer the money to wherever it needs to go. It should be an escrow account. Okay. Once you have the money in there, then any money that comes out, any profits that you get through rents, any profits that you get through interest payments, any profits you make from the deal itself, once you cash out on it, all that money goes back to the custodian, back into your self-directed retirement account. Again, if it's in a Roth, it's all tax-free. Okay. So it's very simple the way that it works. There is another type of self-directed retirement account called a checkbook control account, which we can talk about. The only difference in how that would work is instead of submitting a direction to invest form and everything to the custodian for them to look it over and make sure it's all done right, you have complete control. And what that means is you have a checkbook that's linked to your retirement account that you can literally write a check to wherever the money needs to go directly out of your retirement account. So my one little warning for tonight is if you have a checkbook control account or you open one of those up, be very, very careful, because if you are at the store, as a dumb example, but if you're at the store and you pull out your checkbook to pay for groceries and you accidentally pull out your retirement account checkbook control checkbook and you write a check for some strawberries and bananas, guess what? That little transaction right there can disqualify your entire retirement account. And you do not want that to happen. Okay. So if you're new to self-directed investing, just be very, very careful using a checkbook control account, or let the self-directed custodian kind of do that for you at first, because they're going to look over the direction to invest form, look over all your paperwork. And if it's a not allowed transaction, if it's a transaction that the IRS says this is a no-no, then they're not going to let you do it. They're going to have to be like a little added layer of protection in there. So just a couple examples. You cannot do transactions with family members. So like I couldn't buy investment house like from my dad, for example. So or like a brother and sister. So you can't do it like within immediate family. And there's a couple other little transactions like that shouldn't and can't be done. Okay. Chris, you want to add anything to that?
No, I'm having a ton of fun with all the questions coming in. A lot of people asking like, who are the best providers? And I'm asking people what they're using their self-directed IRAs for. You know, a lot of people are saying crypto, which is great because, you know, why not use your IRA funds for alternative assets, whether it's real estate or crypto, if you believe it and you understand it. You know, there's so many things. Or like we do, we lend money. Just like the banks, we lend money out. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing I do. I'll keep the questions coming in. And Pamela, I hope we answered your question there. It's just a qualified rollover. There's no taxes. So the 59.5 thing is only important if you're going from a traditional 401k to a Roth, because, and actually it really wouldn't be, you just have to pay taxes. You don't have to worry about the 59.5 year. It's a qualified rollover into that. And Richard, you know, probably started with a 401k or an IRA, and he's somebody I'm talking to now. But you guys are all doing the right things, you know, if you're doing self-directed IRAs. And some of you that aren't, we need to just learn about it. And once we get into Stephen, you got a case study that we're going to get to in a second. Man, every time we tell this story, it is literally the single biggest reason I started using self-directed IRAs. So I can't wait till you get to that. But no, I'm having a ton of fun with people's questions here.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Keep them coming in then. Keep them coming. So let me show you a few ways to use a self-directed IRA, at least when it comes to real estate. First off, you know, obviously you can use the IRA to purchase the home direct. You can use the IRA to fund the deal for another investor that's buying that home direct as a private money loan. So you can do it as a direct investment. But here's where we get a lot of questions. Okay, well, you know, to buy a home in my area or to lend my money for an investor buying a home in my area, you know, homes are at least $250,000. Or after the rehab and everything, I need at least $300,000, right? Is anybody thinking that? Like, hey, I got $50,000, $60,000 or $20,000 or $100,000, but I don't think I have enough to self-direct and use this strategy. Is anybody thinking that? So let me show you how to get around that. So there's a couple ways. First off, you can co-buy with somebody else, or no, two ways actually. You can actually co-buy with your IRA and you vested separately. So what I mean by that is, let's say there's a $200,000 loan that I want to make right now to Chris Naugle. Chris Naugle's going out there. He's buying a house for 120,000. He's putting 20,000 in rehab in it. He's got 140,000 in it. We can sell that thing for $200,000, but Chris doesn't have that 140,000 to buy the home and do the rehab. So what's Chris going to do? Chris is going to look for a private money lender. Okay. So if there's anybody on here that's in real estate or thinking about getting into real estate and you just think that the money is holding you back, pay close attention to self-directed IRAs, because you're going to go out there and you're going to tell your neighbor, you're going to tell your friends and family, you're going to tell your dentist about self-directed investing. Because how many of you might know somebody out there that is worried about the stock market right now? That's worried, hey, I got all my money invested in these stocks, but we're at all-time highs and we think the market's going to come down soon, but we don't want to pull our money out because then the money's going to be sitting in cash. And we all know what's going on with inflation and cash right now, right? So we don't want that to happen. I can't put it in a savings account because what does a savings account pay? 0.5%?
0.0006%.
Yeah, 1% if you're lucky. So you're losing money in that. So what do? Well, you're going to go out there and say, hey, I'm getting ready to buy this house. How would you like to make some money on it and partner with me on this deal? Oh, well, I don't have any money later. Well, what about your retirement account? Where's your money invested? Have you ever thought about diversifying a little bit out of the stock market? All your eggs are in one basket in there right now. So there's so many different ways to use this. I'm just throwing out some different ones right now so you guys can kind of think about it and hopefully get some ideas. So what you can do is you can.
Sorry, Stephen, I didn't mean to cut you off. I've gotten 2 questions so far, and I'd love you to hit this before we get, too deep into this. Yeah. A lot of people have IRAs or retirement accounts, and they're over 70 and a half, and they're taking required minimum distributions, commonly known as RMDs. Does that work the same as a self-directed? I mean, is a self-directed the same exact thing as the regular Roth or regular traditional IRA? Can you just hit on that too?
It is. So if you're taking RMDs with your retirement account now, if you were to move that to self-directed, you'd still have those RMD requirements. Yes. There's no RMD requirements with a Roth though, right?
Oh, with a Roth, there's not, but with a traditional, right. Yeah, Roth IRA is tax-free. The government doesn't get any of your tax money. So they're like, we don't care about you guys.
Right. And they
don't like the Roth IRA folks out there. I'll tell you that. The government doesn't like Roth IRAs at all. And
there's actually legislation. I don't know if it's passed yet or not, but I know it's changing some of the RMD ages and amounts and things like that.
It hasn't passed yet.
From what I see, it's going to be actually for a positive, but all it's doing is basically pushing people's retirement age back. I mean, right. But that's a whole nother situation. But yeah, I mean, you still have the RMDs. Again, a self-directed retirement account and a retirement account you have anywhere else is going to work exactly the same way. Same rules, same regulations, same requirements, everything. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Yes, the self-directed Roth. Yes. Richard, the self-directed Roth is our favorite. Absolutely, for all those reasons. All right. So if you don't have a lot of money in your retirement account yet, you're limited to 6,500. Maybe you can't put that much in a solo K. Maybe you don't have anything to transfer over to get that nice amount in there right away. So maybe you're just starting out. So maybe you've been putting 6,500 in for a couple of years. So you got 13,000 sitting in there. Well, maybe you got, I don't know, $80,000 sitting in a money multiplier policy, or you got $100,000 sitting in a savings account, or somewhere that's what's called non-qualified money. So not retirement money. Okay. What you can do is you can spend, you can use 20,000 from the self-directed IRA. You can use 80,000 from the cash account, wherever that might be. You can combine those together to make that $100,000 loan to give Chris the money that he needs to get that flip done. So you can put those together. Now, let me just say this real fast. If you do that, keep very, very, very good records, because however the money goes in needs to come out proportionally. So if you put $20,000 in and $80,000 in from cash to create $100,000 and you make $100,000 in that deal, well, $20,000 of that profit needs to go back to the IRA, and $80,000 of that profit needs to go back through cash that you're going to pay taxes on. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So here's another thing you can do. You can actually use your retirement account and leverage your retirement account. And when I learned this was one of the coolest things I thought, because when I first learned real estate back in 2000, when I started learning about real estate back in 2006, one of the things that really drew me to real estate, along with everything else, was leverage. The fact that I could go out there and I could buy a home for, well, at the time in 2006, 2007, with $0 down, and I could own and control a $300,000 house or property was unbelievable. Or you could go out even in traditional financing and put 20,000 or put 20% down and control much more, dollars worth of real estate. To me, that was really, really cool. The idea of leverage and leveraging what you have now to grow more. So that's what's really cool when I learned about self-directed IRAs is you can do the same thing. You can actually leverage your retirement account to get a loan to go out there and purchase more real estate. And what I mean by that is it's called a non-recourse loan. So a typical mortgage that you get, if you go to the bank, they're going to look at all your finances, your personal assets, all that stuff. If you go out and you buy a house today and you don't pay for that house, that bank or mortgage company could come after that house. They can come after you. They can come after your income. They can come after your savings account. They can come after everything that you have, right? Well, the money in a retirement account, one of the cool things about money in a retirement account is it's protected. Okay. Per IRS rules and regulations, money in retirement accounts is protected from creditors and debtors and things like that. Okay. So they can't come after your retirement account. So what you do is you get what's called a non-recourse loan. And what that means is if you were to default on that loan from the bank can come after that property to recoup their money, but that's it. They can't come after you personally. They can't come after your retirement account money. They can't come after anything else. So you can leverage that money within your IRA to buy a much more expensive piece of property and still take advantage of that. Does everybody like that idea?
Yeah.
It's just awesome stuff. And then of course you can also partner with another investor. So let's say I got 100 grand in my retirement account. Chris has got 100 grand in his retirement account. One of our business partners, Chris Rude, has a flip that he needs $200,000 to do. Well, I can give 100,000 out of mine. Chris can put 100,000 out of his. We create the promissory note. We create the contract, the mortgage. We give it over to Chris Rude. When he pays us back, let's say we make 50,000 on the deal. 25,000 of that comes back to me. 25,000 of that comes back to Chris Naugle. It goes right back into our Roth retirement accounts. We never pay a dime of taxes on any of that money. How many of you like that idea? So that's the power of self-directed investing. So let me give you a couple quick examples.
Yeah,
so
before you get into Tim, I just want to hit Ron's question. It's an important one. He said they can't come after any assets preceded by trust. That's a really, that's an important thing that he just said there, because he's absolutely correct.
Yeah. I mean, trusts, foundations are a whole nother strategy that we actually do get into at the, we have a couple speakers at the 3-day training this weekend that are going to get heavy into asset protection. I mean, do we live in a sue happy society? Yeah. I mean, people spill a cup of coffee on themselves and become millionaires, right? So it's, so you definitely have to protect yourselves at all times. And, that's all part of the protection, asset protection. And that is a big, big part about not only creating wealth, but keeping wealth. Very, very important. So I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. All right. So here's a quick example of just the power of growing money tax-free. So if you were to take $45,000 invested at 17% annually over 20 years, and let's assume a 30% tax rate, at the end of 20 years, you'd have $426,000 in your account. By doing the exact same thing, but using a Roth self-directed IRA, starting with $45,000, investing at 17% over 20 years, you now have a 0% tax rate, tax-free growth. That $45,000 at the same interest rate over the same amount of time grows by over $600,000 more to just over $1 million. Those of you that were on our first preview, we talked about the 3 enemies, the 3 wealth killers. And one of those is taxes. taxes will absolutely kill your wealth. And that's why we teach strategies like this. This is why we teach you all these different ways. And we have speakers at the training that talk about tax strategies, because these are all legal and ethical. They're written into the United States tax code. Every single thing that we teach and every single thing that we do ourselves, it's all there for you to take advantage of. It's just a matter of learning it and applying it, plain and simple. I'm a big fan of helping other people. And that's ultimately what taxes were designed to do. Would we all agree with that? Taxes are designed to help not only ourselves through roads and through the military and protection. And, yesterday was Memorial Day, and protecting our way of life and our freedoms in this country and everything that we have with public education and, being able to drive from here to California on roads. And this is all stuff that taxes take care of, right? But I also think that in 2021, there's some wasted taxes. So if I can save some money on taxes, and I can then take that savings and I can put it somewhere, a charity, a cause, a family that I know is truly going to benefit, to me, that's the better thing to do. And again, this is not stuff this is all completely 100% legal. And I hope you guys follow these strategies, because this one example, it's almost triple what they make just by following one strategy with a retirement account.
Yeah. And, Tom just said an interesting thing here. He said, are these the same slides used in the 3-day? And it's funny, like nobody's ever asked that, but the answer is absolutely not. None of these slides, not one of the slides that you're seeing here is the same slides even the same trainings you're going to see or learn about in the 3-day. What we're talking about today is the why and what the wealthy do. What we talk about in the 3-day is the how. We get right into how to apply this, how to make money doing this, how to protect your assets.
Yeah, how to use your self-directed IRA, because we give it to you. So how do you use it?
Yes, me and Stephen get so excited because everything in the 3-day is how. How do I do this? How do I make money? How do I protect my assets? How do I make passive income? It is not why. Today, the reason we do these 4 trainings, and if this is your first one, it's no big deal. You're not missing something from you are missing something from the prior 2, but everything we're talking about now is why do the wealthy do things different than you? Why do banks put their money in the complete opposite place they tell you to put your money? These are the whys that we're covering in these preview events. The 3-day, I assure you, is 100% different and all designed. And we've done it. I don't even know how many times we've done it. It is the how to do it. So yeah, a great question, Tom. Thank you so much for asking that. I guess a lot of people probably think, oh, it's going to be the same things regurgitated. Not even close. Like we only wish we had time to go through these in the 3-day, but we don't. So we get them out for free, like right now.
Yeah. And, I know a lot of you have never heard of self-directed investing or maybe understand how all this works. And I don't want to come across wrong, but this is very basic stuff right here to build wealth and truly create and keep wealth. This is pretty basic stuff. So we like to teach kind of like Chris said, the why, like the basics during our free trainings. We do lots of free trainings. If you guys follow us, our paid trainings, our weekend events, our live event, these kinds of things. This is where how do we apply this and how do we actually put it to work? What is the action I need to take right now? Every single person that leaves our 3-day, they are immediately on that Monday taking action and applying what we taught them during those 3 days. And that's what it also, we need to get we just don't have time. Honestly, 3 days is not enough time. Seriously. And Chris and I have already talked about, making it longer and extending the days and things like that, because we don't have enough time to talk about the why. So the more, the how. So the more we can get out of the way now with this kind of stuff, the better it's going to be, the more that we can give you during the 3-day. So that's why we do these. We're doing 4 previews, and all 4 of these free previews are different content. We haven't talked about self-directed investing yet. No. This is the 3rd one.
Or privatized banking. We haven't got there. It's funny, we get into this and we get so caught up into it. And sometimes we get overly excited. I'm not going to lie. I get overly excited and we don't get out as much as we want. But you know what? That's the exciting part. In the 3-day, believe me, it's fully structured around here's what we talked about. Here's how you apply it. And everything we teach at the 3-day isn't going to apply to every one of you. So everything in the 3-day is designed to hit a broad range of people that are trying to solve their money problem. And usually people's money problem is very simple. They have money and they want to make more money. Some people need money to make more money, and other people have debt that they need to pay off. We cover all those in depth and then a lot more. But most importantly, fundamentally, we teach you how to mimic what the banks do by becoming your own bank and how to do it using lots of strategies like self-directed IRAs, home equity lines of credit, 401ks, traditional assets, and the most popular topic, and everybody's commenting on it today, privatized banking, or commonly known as the infinite banking concept. And yes, there is a cost for the 3-day. We're going to get into that, but it's $297, which literally is a bargain for when you see what you get. We give you so much free stuff, and we didn't even get into that. But Stephen, I'm sorry, I'm stealing the thunder. Go for that.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I want to give one more example here, and that's it's one of my favorites. So this is a case study on how to create consistent, predictable income for the rest of your life. Because, you know, I don't know if any of you are on here, but we talk to a lot of people every day, and I've been doing this now for a long time. And one of the things that I hear over and over again, especially for people that are approaching retirement or right around retirement age, is just the question of, I'm just super stressed. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through retirement, or I don't know how I'm going to retire when I want to. I'm just completely stressed out about money. I'm completely stressed out about what's going to happen next. And just stress kills people. And, you know, stress goes a lot with fear. You know, fear and stress seem to go along with each other, you know, pretty commonly, right? If you don't understand something or know what to do next, it's going to stress you out. It's just a common thing, right? So one of the things that I love doing is being able to show people a path. And what we do through self-directed investing, what we do through privatized banking, what we do through strategies like private lending, which I'm going to show you right now, is we kind of eliminate that stress, because we give you a plan. We give you a vision, so to say, a map of exactly where you are now and exactly where you're going to be in the future and exactly how you're going to get there. And one of the beautiful things that I love about privatized banking, and I know we're not talking about that quite yet, but one of the things that I tell people all the time is I can look at my privatized bank plan, my map, my illustrations, and I can see exactly what that's going to look like tomorrow. I can see exactly what it's going to look like next year, in 7 years, in 12 years, in 30 years. I know exactly what's there. And so let me show you this. Let me show you this example. So this is a case study with Charles and Mary Jones. We call it the Bank of C&M Jones, because our goal was to teach them how to become their own bank. So they started out, Charles and Mary, they're from Idaho. They had a little farm out there, 55 and 53 years old. They were 10 years from retirement. They had $350,000 in their retirement accounts. They were inexperienced managing investments, and they did not want an active role. So that's very important, because we have people that come to us that are like, hey, listen, we want to go out there and hustle. We want to buy as much real estate as we can. We want to flip as many houses as we can. We want to buy as many rental properties and apartment complexes and mobile home parks. And we want to just do it all ourselves. And that's awesome. We'll show you how to do that, how to raise the funds, how to get into it, everything. But we have a lot of other people that come to us that say, listen, we just need a plan. We need a way to put our money to work. We don't think the stock market's going to stay there. We don't think that our money's growing the way it should. We don't think that we're going to be able to live the retirement that we want, but we don't want to go out there and do it. We just want our money to work for us just as hard as we work to get that money in the first place. Meaning they want to be a passive investor. Okay. So this is what they did, is we showed them how to go out there and do this. So we taught them how to become the bank, how to go out there and create what are called trust deeds. So these are 6 to 18 month mortgages, essentially. So what a mortgage or a trust deed is it's basically a contract, a promissory note. And there's 4 very, very important parts of a trust deed that you need, okay? So number 1, these are just going to be the overall terms of what's in there. So number 1, what is the loan amount? So how much are you lending? Plain and simple. Number 2, what are the terms of that loan? Meaning, if I give you $100,000, how and when am I going to get that money back? So am I going to get paid interest monthly along the way? Am I going to get paid principal and interest? Is it going to be amortized? Is it going to be simple interest? How long is it going to be before I get that money back? You know, what's going to happen if I don't get that money? Number 3, the interest rate. So how much are you going to charge the person to lend them your money? So Chris Naugle, if I'm going to give you $100,000 to go out there and do a real estate deal, okay? Yeah. But to give you that $100,000, I'm going to charge you 14% annual interest. And it's a new relationship. I've never lent to you before. So I'm going to charge you 2 points on top of it. And what are points? Points are just basically a fee for the total overall amount that you're lending. So 2 points, 2 percentage points, that's what points are, on $100,000 would essentially be $2,000. So to lend Chris $100,000, he's agreeing on this trust deed to pay me back the $100,000 in, let's say, 6 months. That's the term. So the loan amount, 100,000, the term 6 months at 14% annual returns plus 2 points. So he's going to pay me 14%. If he pays me back in six months, that's going to be $7,000 plus the 2 points, $9,000. So Chris, from lending him $100,000, he then agrees to pay me back, what did I just say? $9,000 in 6 months on top of that $100,000. How many of you would do that deal?
Yeah. How many of you would do that deal? Just put in I. If you would do that deal right there, for sure. Oh my God, that's so smart. The first thing I was thinking when you're saying that, I've been doing this for a long time. The first thing I'm thinking, you greedy bastard. But you know,
I'm charging so much.
That's okay though, because I've paid more. Because cost is only an issue in the absence of value. And if I've got a real estate deal that I bought at the right price, that I'm going to profit $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. What the hell is $9,000 in the grand scheme of things? You know what it is? It is an opportunity cost, because you know what the opportunity lost is? If I don't pay Stephen that amount for the money and I miss the deal. If I missed the deal, what was my net cost? Well, if it was a $30,000 profit, my net cost was $21,000. And that's factoring out the $9,000 I should have paid Steve. You see, Stephen, the thing is, I remember a story from one of my biggest mentors, Greg. Greg, on his very first deal, nobody trusted him. He'd never done a deal before. There was one gentleman who took a chance on Greg, but that chance cost Greg 90% of Greg's profit. That's right, folks. How many of you would do a deal if your lender, for the first deal only, remember, no trust, the first deal, if you had to give up 90%? How many of you would do that deal? Say yes. And then I want to know how many of you would not do that deal if you had to give up 90% and do all the work. I want you to put no. So Mark said, yep. Gavin said aye. Kimberly said aye. Stephen said, I do it all the time. Richard said aye. Man, we got a great group on here, because you know what? If you had to give up 90%, you had to give up 90% to make 10. You did all the work, but you know, you built something right there. By doing that, you gave up 90%, you built trust, and that trust will pay you millions and millions of dollars, which is exactly what happened to Greg. I didn't mean to go into that, Stephen, but this story right here of C&M Jones is one that is so near and dear to my heart, because Greg told me about this story. It's the first person I've ever heard about these actual clients of Horizon Trust and how they did it, because it's just incredible. And I'm glad, man, we got a great group here. Look at these questions in the comments. I'm so wrapped up in the comments that, like, literally I can't stop typing.
That's awesome. And here's the best thing about all of this is you lending the money, you're getting those great returns. You know, the borrower is getting their deal done. Like you said, they're not missing out on the opportunity cost. It's a win-win situation for everybody. And your entire money is protected, because if you see number 4 right there is collateral. So on that trust deed, on that mortgage, what happens if that loan's not paid back, or if something goes wrong, or if that trust deed or mortgage is not, obliged, right? Well, that's what the collateral is for. So you go down and you file at the courthouse, and then you have repercussions. If this doesn't happen the way that you thought it was going to happen, you then take control of that house. And if the numbers are right, you're still going to make a boatload of money by doing that loan. But that's worst case scenario. And if you do all your homework leading into it, and you have your relationships correct, and you have your network correct, then private money lending is one of my favorite things to do. Because of all those reasons right there. But you have the collateral, and that's what protects your money. So let me show you how this grows. All right. So there Charles and Mary Jones, their $350,000, what they did is they, again, like I said before, they had 10 years till retirement. So they were committed to continuing to contribute $13,000 a year into their retirement accounts as well. Okay. Up until, the 10 years goes by. So for 10 years, they started with $350,000. They put $13,000 a year in, and they grew their money at 9% annually. Okay. Because of where they lived and because they were lending to friends and people they were close to, they did not do what I just said I was going to do to Chris Naugle. They did not charge them 14%. They did not charge them points on top of it. They said, we're going to lend you the money at 9%. Plain and simple. Okay. And they were able to grow that $350,000 within 10 years to just over $1 million for their retirement. But they did not stop there, because they said, okay, now that we're retired, we no longer have to go to work. We want to continue playing with our farm. We want to continue traveling. But over these 10 years, we've become very, very good at lending money. We've built some very, very solid relationships for the people that we lend our money to. And we don't see a reason to stop doing that. It's not time consuming. It's very simple for us to do. We do it over and over and over and over and over again. So let's just keep doing that in retirement. So what they did is they took their $1 million retirement account and they kept lending it out. And what did that do for them? That allowed them to create a consistent, predictable income of $92,000 annually, or just about $7,700 a month coming in, that they can count on now every single month, every single year for the rest of their lives, as long as they keep doing these silly, simple private lending deals out of their retirement accounts. And they never, ever, ever touch that $1 million nest egg that they have in that retirement account. And they're now making almost $100,000 a year from it without ever touching it. How many of you guys like that idea? And that's just one little simple strategy of how you can do this kind of thing, of how every single one of you can go out there and learn and start doing this. Any questions on that, Chris?
No, but I mean, I want everybody to really let that sink in, right? Because the Bank of C&M Jones, this is a real client. This is a real story. This isn't some made up thing. Like, Charles and Mary, they're real people. And they were real people that were following along in the traditional financial knowledge they were taught, and it just wasn't working. They changed one thing and they became the bank, folks, with their IRA money, with their retirement account. And they just did this. They became the bank. And folks, look at those numbers. Like, I don't lend my money out for any less than 12%. They were only making 9. They were awfully fair with that money. I charged 12, and they were making $92,347. Now, I just want everybody to remember something too. They didn't have a lot of money. Like, if any of you are that close to retirement, you have $350,000, most advisors would tell you you're not going to be able to retire. You're going to have to work longer, or you're going to have to take on more risk. And then they're going to ask you to give up control of your money. Is that not what you've been taught your whole life? Give up control of your money, take on more risk, or save more money. Is that not what somebody's told you? Say yes or no. How many times have you heard that in your life?
That's what drove me away from the financial advisory field, because I got tired of telling people that. And I did
every day. When I sat down with people, I would look at what they were saving. I'm like, well, can you save more money? And they'd say no. And I'd say, well, can you take on more risk? Are you willing to take on more risk? We can go into these micro caps. We can go into these really risky assets, and then hopefully we can make that big return. How's that working out for most people? It's not. And then the last thing is, can't save more money, don't want to take on more risk. Great. What's the solution? Well, I guess you're not going to be able to hit your retirement goal. Bullshit, folks. That's the lie you've been taught your whole life. Wake up and start seeing what's going on out there, folks. I'm not trying to be rude or cuss for any other reason other than, like, it's bullshit. What's going on out there? It's nonsense, because the answer lies one step away from what you're doing today, and it involves you changing one freaking thing. Yet nobody will teach you what that one thing is except for us and maybe a select few other people, because there's no money in it. Folks, the money might not be in the front end. We're not making money. $297, folks. I spent $6,000 to get you all to watch this free preview tonight. Do you guys realize that? Listen to what I said. I spent $6,000 in marketing to get you here to listen to this for free. Do you think that's going to be paid back with $297? Absolutely not. the money we make is 6 layers deep. It's not on the front end, but advisors, especially when I was an advisor, I had to make all my money up front. That's the problem. Everybody's chasing the quick dollar, and the quick dollar is the big lie. So folks, this 3-day event isn't an option for you. If you're looking to retire in the next 5, 10, or heck, I don't care when you're looking to retire. If you're looking to take back control of your money, if you're looking to have financial freedom, you need this. It's not an option. Like if it's an option, well, roll the dice and keep doing what you're doing. And if it's working, great. But if you want it to work faster, smarter, and more efficient, this is the event for you. And there it is right there. I didn't even see you put it on the screen, Stephen. I get so caught up in this, folks.
And this is, you know, what we've done here this evening. This is one little strategy in a host of strategies that we teach you, the why. And at the 3-day, we teach you the how. Like I said, that's where the action takes place. So if you like this one little strategy, this one little idea, then you're going to be blown away by everything else that we're going to teach you. And those of you enrolling, I do highly recommend go back and watch the first 2 previews. Join us tomorrow on the Wealth Webinar Wednesday. Join us Thursday evening when Chris is going to get into the money multiplier and the infinite banking concept. If you think self-directed investing blows you away, tax-free growth, tax-free money coming out later, that's all fine and dandy. But what if we could show you a place where you could put money with guaranteed growth, guaranteed tax-free growth for the rest of your life? And at the exact same time, you can take that money while it's compounding year after year after year, guaranteed for the rest of your life. You can take that money and invest it in these exact same types of strategies. You can take that money and create consistent, predictable income for the rest of your life while it's in this account, compounding guaranteed for the rest of your life. It sits in there and you're over here using it. If you thought self-directed investing was crazy, money multiplier, the infinite banking concept is going to literally blow your mind. So you're going to have to join us Thursday to learn more about that, because I want to get into what they're going to get at the 3-day right now, Chris.
Yeah. So, you know, this, because everybody, you know, aside from the recordings, if you can't make it or you can't be there all 3 days, like when you see just what Stephen's going to show you and what you get like thousands of dollars worth of bonuses just for attending. Screw the 3-day. Although the 3 days is the most important thing, like all the value is in the tangible things we give you. I mean, look at all this stuff we cover. Go ahead, Stephen. I'm sorry. Like, it's so ridiculous what we do at this 3-day. I can't understand why we don't have thousands of people on the 3-day instead of hundreds, but hey, we're getting there. Rome wasn't built in a day, and you didn't get to the top of the mountain by just snapping your fingers. You had to climb there. And that's what we do every single month, climbing.
Yeah, and don't let this overwhelm you by any means. I promise you, every single one of you can follow exactly these strategies and implement them the week after, the week of the training. So starting next week, you're going to start implementing this stuff into your financial life, into your financial picture, and your future is going to be a lot brighter starting next week than it was before you attended this preview here tonight. I can promise. So we do get into a lot of different ideas. I think we saw somebody earlier talking about buying notes with their Roth IRA. Note investing is awesome. We're going to teach you about that. We're going to teach you about flipping land, about wholesaling, about affordable housing. So multifamily and things like mobile home park investing. And then, like I said, we get into the asset protection, the tax strategies, and then advanced strategies on using these accounts and using for private lending and real estate. I mean, it's really, really cool. We have a stock trainer come in and introduce you to something called hedging. Those of you that have, this is something we get a lot, Chris, and it's a great time to bring it up, actually. If you have an active 401k, let me ask that. How many of you put I in the box if you have a job and you're actively contributing to your 401k right now? Is anybody actively contributing to their 401k? Okay, I see one. Okay. Yeah. So several, I see hands going up. So several people. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things with an active 401k is you cannot transfer it to a self-directed account in 99% of the cases. So what do you do there? Your money's in the 401k. You can't pull it out of the stock market. Maybe you're long-term, but maybe you implement a strategy called hedging, where you follow a simple strategy that Chris and his partner Sodi teach on how to protect your money that's in there. So if there is a downturn, your money's still protected. How do you like that idea, Chris?
I love it. And I love what Richard just said. He contributes the max of my company's match. In other words, if his company and his 401k gives him 3%, he's putting in the maximum amount to get that free 3%. Yes. Now, we hate 401ks, and we're very open about that. But I can't give you free money, folks. Just like Richard just said, I can't give you free money. But what you can do is just put in whatever it takes to get the match to its extent, to the maximum extent, but don't put any more than that. Because unless you've got major tax issues where you need those tax deductions, we already decided taxes are going up in the future. Why would you give up your good dollars today, your best dollars, the most valuable dollars you'll ever have, to be paid back with weaker dollars at a higher tax rate? Wake up, folks. Wake up, America. Like, it's stupid. You've been taught a lie, but doing what Richard's doing, and I'm just messaging him, that is exactly what you should do, because that is right. If they're going to give you a 3% match, damn it, put in whatever it takes to get that 3% match, but no more, and then redirect the rest into something that puts you in control of your money. Because I'll tell you what, I haven't yet seen a 401k that gives any good investment options. And I did say that, folks. They're all nonsense. I keep looking at them thinking, oh, this company's going to have a good basket of mutual funds. They're all dog shit freedom funds, retirement 2020, 2030, 2040 funds with super high fees because nobody reads the damn prospectus anymore. Everybody's like, oh, they said put my money in that freedom 2040 fund and I'll be able to retire happy and sail off into the sunset. Nonsense. Bullshit. They're winning. You're losing. Wake up and play the game by being in control of your money. Sorry, I got way too excited.
I love it, man. Love it. It's so true. 95% of people cannot retire according to the IRS. It's crazy. All right. So the 3-day training. So we're going to give you the training, and then I kind of want to tell you a little bit about some of the extras that you get too. So one of the things we're going to give you guys is what's called the Money School File Vault. So we talked a little bit about this in the last one, but it's so very important to today's discussion as well, because if you're buying real estate, if you're lending in real estate, if you just want to understand the general idea of how a lot of this works, you really, really need some of these tools that Chris was able to create while flipping 267 homes and building a huge rental portfolio. So let's get into those. So the Money School File Vault is going to consist of a bunch of different so when you enroll in the 3-day, what happens is you're going to get a couple of emails, and one of them is going to invite you to Teachable. And we had a couple of people asking about this. So number one, inside of there, you're going to have access to all of the event recordings. So if you miss one of the days or you miss the entire weekend, at the end of each day, we give you access to the recording. So you can log in, or you can go to the private YouTube link and you can watch the video. We even timestamp it to show you when each section and part of it is, so you can skip right to it. We have people that literally go back and watch these recordings 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times for certain parts of them. So you have access to that and you get it forever. Like, we're not going to take it away. You'll have it as long as you can log into Teachable. You also get what's called the File Vault. So that's all of these different tools that are used for evaluating deals, and we'll get into them a little bit. You're also going to get access to all of the speakers and experts that are at the 3 days. So we always have people say, like, hey, what about networking? What about talking and introducing and meeting new people? We're chatting the entire weekend on the chat box. We're answering questions the entire time. Every speaker and expert that's there answers questions. We go long because of that, but we don't want to take anything away. And then we give you all of their direct contact information so you can carry the conversation on and continue to build your network and build your connections that you can use for years and years to come. So we give you all that. We give you the self-directed IRA that I was just saying. So by enrolling in the 3-day, if you go through Horizon Trust Company, they're going to waive the $350 setup fee and new account fee. They're not going to charge you that. So we give you all this extra stuff. Chris, you might want to talk about these just because you invented them.
Here's what it was. Like, when I was flipping a lot of houses, we had to come up with faster ways to do the math on the deals we were doing. Cashflow Deal Inspector was basically designed in a 4-quadrant approach so that we could come up with how much are we going to make on the money we invest into this real estate deal based on current assumptions and future assumptions. This deal inspector, and there's a lot more to it than just this, allowed me to input the rents. How much do I think my vacancy factor could be? 3, 5, 10% in bad areas. What are my expenses? Easy to find out. Just ask the seller. And then what is my financing? Am I borrowing the money from Steven at a ridiculous, 14 plus 2, $9,000 a year? Or am I borrowing it from the bank of C&M Jones at 9%? I put all those things in there. And then after that, the financial summary spits out my number, my cash on cash return. The number I always paid attention to was my net monthly cash flow. Based on the money that I'm putting in, how much am I going to make every single month net? That's the only number that matters. How much you keep. I love it when real estate investors brag about how much rental income they bring in or how much money they make. I'm like, no. It's not about what you make. It's about how much you keep. This will, in literally 1 minute, show you how much you get to keep every month. And that's why I created this one. What's the next one you got on there? Yeah, the max offer formula. Why did I create this? Because when you're in a competitive situation, how many of you think buying real estate is competitive right now? It's ridiculous. It's a lot, honestly, like being around, I don't eat meat, but let's just say you're a lion and you're around an animal that, you just killed, and I hate to go there, but like it's competitive. You got to be fast. You got to be strong. Well, the max offer, I don't have no idea why that came up, but the max offer formula was designed for auctions. I used to buy a lot of houses at the auction. You have to be on your game. And if you don't know how much the max amount you can pay is in 30 seconds or less, you lose the deal or you pay too much. This max offer formula, within 2 seconds, literally, I enter 2 numbers, which I already had figured out before I got to the auction. And it tells me the most I should pay for the property. If I overpay for it, good chance I'm going to lose money or come out of pocket. Next one, spec sheet. Is that the next one? Oh, this closing cost. How many of you have ever struggled wondering, well, I wonder what the closing costs are going to be? Created a calculator for that. Just why not? Hey, put in your inputs. How much am I going to have to come out of pocket for closing costs? Pretty important to know. Next one. Oh, spec sheet. I love this. Spec sheet is one that I use more than anything else. I loved Zillow for its simplicity. Every time I looked at a property and I went in Zillow, I don't like Zillow for its estimates, but I always wanted to know where things were and how much it was. It was easy to find because everything was in a template. So we created that exact spec sheet. And if you guys can look through the camera at me, this is an actual deal that was sent to us that we got funded through the Private Money Club. There's the spec sheet. They put it together. It tells you how much your profit's going to be and everything an investor would want to know. We created that. How about a brochure? How many of you have ever struggled with wondering how to give somebody a brochure so that they know who you are, what you do, and why you're different? Well, we created that, but then we went one step further and we created that private lending packet. Why not have a packet that's completely designed, completely templated so that you can put together your deal on this and hand it to a private lender? And then we also did the credibility builder, which is the brochure. How to make a brochure in literally 10 minutes, as long as you know what your company's about, you can create that with the credibility builder. Folks, you get all this stuff for free. I created it all. I've been using it for years. There's your credibility builder. It's a brochure in a box, literally. It's all templated out. Just put your information in, and literally when you hand that to somebody, I don't care if it's a private lender, I don't care if it's a seller, I don't care if it's the bank. They're going to be like, holy crap, this is a professional company. It is. It's because the packet, the template's done
all the time.
Oh my gosh. Like all of our students, all of our members use this because they learned this. Like if you guys are paying attention, like Claire's on here. Claire, like we played her testimonial last time. She did a video, like unprovoked. We just said, hey, would you mind doing a video? It was so just from the heart. Like literally what she's learned, just read her things, like what she's doing. Like these are not things she ever thought she'd be able to do because she just didn't have the knowledge. She came to the 3-day, and Claire, I don't know how many times you've come to the 3-day. See, here's the thing, folks. People come to the 3-day training one time, but then they come every time because every time it's different and they learn something new. Why is it different every time? Why wouldn't we do the same thing? Times are a-changing. Who can tell me the artist, the musician that came up with that song? Times are a-changing. How many of you know that? Who was that musician? Times are a-changing. You guys remember that song? First person to say that, I'll give you something. I don't know what. I'll send you my book. Dylan, right there. Richard Shear, send me your address and I'm going to mail you my book. Times are a-changing was Bob Dylan. And times are always changing, which means our training is always changing to match the times. We're coming to the top of the market, the top right before the big crash. If you folks don't think there's something that stinks out there, something big is coming, then you're not opening your eyes. You're living in a cardboard box. And that's okay, because most of us have been with COVID. But guess what? I'm in New York. They just lifted the restrictions. We can actually go to restaurants and there's no restrictions outside of the distancing. Holy cow, if that's happening, you know what? Times are a-changing, which means our training is a-changing. Folks, I could keep going. I mean, the stuff we give you, MSTV, somebody mentioned Money School TV. It is something that Stephen and I and our entire team literally came together at the beginning of COVID and said, you know what? People need financial knowledge, play by play, step by step, day by day. We created MSTV for that reason. You get 30 days free of MSTV. So Manoram was saying that right here. He was saying, what is Money School TV? And is there a group we stay in contact after the 3-day training? You bet your damn ass there is. There is the Money School Facebook group. There is the Private Money Club. We have so many ways you stay in contact, because we believe that there's power in community. And community and culture is everything to us. So of course, after the 3-day, what do you think? Would you say, okay, shoo, pat you on the ass and send you off? No, we want you around the campfire every time. Just make sure you bring some marshmallows. We'll supply the graham crackers and the chocolate. And sometimes we even give you the crunchy chocolates. But anyway, you got to get around the campfire. And this is it right here. The 3-day event is how you get around the campfire. And I can almost, here, let me do something I haven't done in a long time. Any of you that join us for this 3-day, look at, you get 3 days live. It's normally $19.97. We used to do this event live for $1,997. You know what? People paid it. Digital access to the Money School 4-week online training series. That's $9.97. We sold tons of those, and you get that for free. You get all those tools, the file vault that I just said. What else is we giving it? That's $5.97. The Comprehensive Wealth Builder. I created this a while ago and it's still relevant. It's video series, right? Unlocking market patterns. Are the markets working in patterns right now? Absolutely. It's a 90-year pattern we're following. You want to know how to play the pattern, how to see the pattern, because the markets work in very rhythmic, predictable patterns. Wouldn't you like to know when it's coming and when it's going so that you can buy low and sell high every time? Well, that video does it. The Money GPS Workshop, how to find money, how to find and raise money without ever asking for it. That video's there. And then the Private Money Guide and the Comprehensive Wealth Workbook, which is just case study after case study. Plus, we give you a free self-directed IRA. I'm going to need a glass of water just talking about the free shit you get. All of this, if you were to add it all up, how much would it be normally? I'm not doing the math here. So if we added all this stuff up, it'd normally be $51.85. And I already told you, we already let the cat out of the bag. It's $297. We give you all of this, plus the Facebook group, plus the community for 30 days, plus, MSTV and all that stuff. You get it all for $297. I'm out of breath, but literally, and I'm not doing this just to pitch a 3-day event. We do this all the time. I'm doing this because you all need this. And I know it because of our testimonials. I don't know that because I think I'm great or I think what we do is so great. I know this because we're changing tens of thousands of people's lives. We have thousands and thousands of people in the Money Multiplier alone. And we've helped tens of thousands of people take back control of their money. And do you know why we do this? Every week we do 2 team huddles. And I want you to all listen to this. If you're a business owner, I want you to listen to this closely. We do 2 team huddles. Our entire team jumps on a Zoom like this, and we go through the week and the things that are doing. But before we start, I say, why do we do what we do? Stephen, do I not say that almost every single huddle that we do?
Yep.
Why do we do what we do, Stephen?
We solve the money problem and we take back control of your money.
That's right. We help people solve their money problems by showing them ways to take back control of their money. Everybody on this team understands our goal and our culture, and that is it. And do you know why we do this? It's simple. Nobody else is. Nobody else will go there because there's no money in it. And you know what? For us, there's no money in it on the front end. The whole 3-day, all the money goes and then some to pay for marketing. We make money 3 layers deep by helping you make money. And we share in that. So how we do that, you're going to have to come to the 3-day to learn that. But there's so many opportunities. And the only way to unlock those opportunities is to get around the campfire. And that campfire starts Friday. Friday, you don't even need to bring marshmallows. You don't need to bring beverages. You don't need to bring your chocolate or your graham crackers. We got you covered. Just show up, ready to learn. And it's going to be like drinking from a fire hose, folks. But all you're going to do the whole time is look for 2 things. Out of the 3 days, you just need 2 things that you are going to apply in your life. Whatever those are, I don't care if it's crypto, I don't care if it's hedging, I don't care if it's options, I don't care if it's note investing, I don't care if it's privatized banking, which is the most popular topic. I don't care what it is, it's there for you. But you got to pick which one you're going to take action on, because knowledge is only literally, knowledge, the person that said knowledge is power was full of crap. Knowledge isn't power. It's the application of knowledge that's the real power. And until you understand that and apply that nothing's going to change in your life. But this weekend, we will change your life. Ask Claire, ask all the other people, and we'll see you there. So folks, I wanted to get into privatized banking, Stephen, but man, that was so good tonight. We haven't got that excited about self-directed IRAs in a long time. And folks, for those of you that are watching this that didn't join us, the first one or the second one, you missed out on home equity lines of credit, on how to use those and how I did that for my mom and so many other people. You missed out on 401k loans and how to use those. You missed out on last week was just something ridiculously. We went into so many things, but this Thursday is our final preview. Okay, final one for free. Then after that, you got to shit or get off the pot and get to the 3-day, because that's the last free one. Tomorrow we got Wealth Webinar Series, and then Thursday, that's the final preview. And what we're going to cover is everybody's favorite topic. We always save the best for last. Privatized banking, the biggest secret of the wealthy, what the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Walt Disneys, the JPs, the Morgans, the Mitt Romneys, all of them, okay, right up to your current president, Biden, what they do with their money. And what they did is changed one thing, and that's what you're going to learn on Thursday. So hopefully I'll see you there. But more importantly, hopefully I'll see every single one of you at this weekend's 3-day. Stephen, how do you want to close this thing out? Yes, 3 days. So Aaron, sorry, we covered that. But yes, you will get recordings of all 3 days. The only thing you won't get is Friday and Saturday, we do a bonus session. We don't record the bonus session. So you got to be there, because that's it. Hey, sometimes we can record everything, but you know what? We want you to show up to the game, because if you don't show up, you can't get it. So the bonus session is reserved for those that show up. It's not recorded.
Awesome stuff, man. I think you closed it out perfectly there. I'm excited for it. I see some good people on here. I know some people are going to be attending, and that are new. I see some familiar faces that look like they're coming again, and that's a beautiful thing, man. It's going to be a good one. That's for sure. I can't wait.
And folks, listen, one last thing. If you can see my board, how many of you want to keep riding this financial hamster wheel? How many of you? You guys want to keep riding this? Listen, it's time to get off the roller coaster, because you're right here. You're right there. And I don't know what comes next or when it comes. So it's time to get off the hamster wheel. I'll start drawing on the board tomorrow, and I'll start drawing on the board on Thursday, but we will definitely cover all this stuff on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll see you then. All right.